You didn't stumble on this message by chance. The timing, the words, the energy, it's all aligning in your favor. Let me ask you something. Now, what if I told you that you've already been heard? That the universe, which seems silent at times, has been listening to every word that left your lips, every whisper of your heart, every confession you've ever dared to speak in faith. Now, pause, let that sink in, because today I'm not here to ask you to hope for your dream. I'm not here to tell you to wait patiently for the life you desire. I am here to wake you up to a truth that has always been waiting inside you. You can speak your reality into existence, not with worry, not with doubt, not with fear, but with authority. You see, the most powerful conversations you will ever have are not the ones with other people. They are the ones you have with yourself, about yourself, when no one else is around. The way you speak about your future becomes the mold the universe uses to shape it. And the only thing stopping the universe from delivering what you want is your own hesitation to speak it boldly. But what if today you stop speaking as a beggar and start declaring like an owner? What if today you stop asking timidly and begin speaking as if it's already done? Remain present, prosperous, and baked, because that is where the shift happens. That is the key. And that is what this entire message is about. You want to change your life? Then change your language. Don't say, I hope I succeed. Say, I am successful now, and everything around me is catching up. Don't say, I want a better job. Say, my perfect opportunity is already mine. I'm just aligning with it. Don't say, I hope they love me. Say, I am deeply loved, valued, and chosen. As the universe doesn't respond to fear, it responds to certainty. Now, some people will call this arrogance. Let them. They've spent their lives whispering wishes into the dark, hoping for scraps of favor. You're not here for scraps. You're here to command the feast. And to do that, you must train your mouth to speak what your spirit already knows. Every time you say, I am, you are giving the universe a command, so be careful what follows. I am tired. I am stuck. I am unlucky. These are not innocent words. These are orders. And the universe is obedient. You speak stuck, it brings stuck. You speak broke, it amplifies lack. But you say, I am rising, and the universe shifts. You say, I am abundant, and watch what begins to flow to you. You say, I am healthy, and healing starts moving in ways you can't yet see. Now, this isn't about pretending. This isn't about lying to yourself. This is about alignment. Because your words are the echo of your beliefs, and your beliefs are the soil of your life. If you want different fruit, you need different seeds, and your speech is seed. Say it with me. My speech is seed. Say it again with more power. My speech is seed. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. The speaking is creation. The first thing ever created was through speech. Let there be light, and there was. Let there be success in my life, and there will be. Let there be peace in my mind, and it will come. Let there be clarity in my purpose, and you will wake up with vision. You don't need to manipulate reality. You only need to agree with the higher version of it. When you talk like it's already yours, what you're really doing is collapsing time. You're pulling the future into the now. You're telling the universe, I don't need proof to believe. My belief is the proof. This is the language of creators, of manifestors, of those who see it before it exists and speak it until it materializes. Now listen to me closely. There is a moment in every believer's life when you must stop negotiating with your dream. You must stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for confirmation. Stop asking for permission. You speak it boldly, consistently, relentlessly, even if no one claps. Even if the world calls you delusional. Even if it looks like nothing is happening. Because that is the test of the bold. To keep speaking what you want, even when what you see contradicts it. That's where power is born. That's when reality breaks. That's when miracles happen. Let's go deeper now. Here's what I want you to carry with you as we unfold the next 30 minutes together. Your words are law in your world. Talk from the end, not from the middle. Feel it as you say it. Emotion is the engine. So let the engine, don't just repeat, declare with conviction. Ignore the how, focus on the it is done. Speak to circumstances, not about them. Your mouth is the magnet, aim it well. These aren't just points. They are the blueprint to change your life. So stay with me. Let's dive into each truth and rewire how you speak, think, and manifest. This is the hour you stop being a passive dreamer and become an active co-creator. The universe isn't waiting to reward the timid. It's ready to obey the bold. Let's talk like it's already ours and watch the world follow. Your words are law in your world. There is a law, unseen but absolute, that governs the creative power of the universe. It does not favor some over others. It does not care whether you were born rich or poor, praised or rejected, strong or wounded. It listens. And what it listens to are your words. Not the ones you merely speak to others, but the ones you speak in your mind, in your heart, in the privacy of your soul. The ones that form the blueprint of how you see yourself. Because in this universe, your words are not suggestions, they are commands. When you say, I can't, you decree limitation. When you say, I am unlucky, you sign a contract with misfortune. When you say it's too hard, you shape your reality into struggle. This isn't about superstition, it's about awareness. You are not just a body moving through the world. You are a creator, navigating a realm that responds to what you declare as true. And your life at this very moment is the result of the accumulated declarations you've spoken into it. It may sound harsh, but it is liberating. Because if your words build this world, then your words can also change it. That power has never left your hands. It simply waited for you to become conscious of it. When you begin to realize that every phrase, every affirmation, every I am is planting a seed into the soil of the unseen, you stop speaking carelessly. You stop speaking defeat and doubt as if they are casual thoughts. And you start choosing your words like a craftsman selects tools, deliberately and with precision. The mistake many people make is thinking that their words are mere reactions to what is. They speak based on what they see instead of what they want to create. But the truth is, what you see is often the residue of past beliefs. What you speak today will become the shape of your tomorrow. You cannot build a mansion with the language of poverty. You cannot create peace by repeating chaos. And you will not become powerful by speaking like a victim. You must declare what you desire as though it is already law in your life. Speak with the boldness of someone who knows the universe must comply. Say, I am wealthy and feel no need to explain. Say, I am deeply loved, and don't glance around for approval. Say, I am chosen, and let that be the final word on the matter. Because here's the secret. When you talk like it's already yours, the universe doesn't just listen. It begins to rearrange itself to reflect your authority. Situations bend, people show up, resources flow, not because you forced them, but because your inner world spoke the command that summoned them. So let this become your new standard. No more careless language. No more affirming lack. No more borrowing the vocabulary of failure. Speak only what builds. Speak only what aligns. Speak only what you want to live. Your mouth is the throne of your destiny. Sit on it with power. Talk from the end, not from the middle. Most people live their lives speaking from the middle of their stories. Caught in the tension, the confusion, the waiting, they talk as if they're stuck in a problem, hoping to one day find a solution. But those who shape reality with intention do something different. They speak from the end. They don't describe what's happening. They declare what's already done, because they understand that the universe doesn't need a weather report of your current storm. It needs a declaration of your destination. Speaking from the end means you don't say, I hope to be successful someday. You say, I am already successful, and everything else is aligning to reveal that truth. You don't say, I'm trying to heal. You say, my healing is complete. I walk in the health that is already mine. This kind of speech isn't denial, it's design. It's claiming the finished result before your senses agree. Why is this important? Because your subconscious mind and the creative force of the universe respond to completion. When you speak from the end, you collapse the time it takes to experience your desire. You are not waiting, you are claiming. You're not negotiating, you are owning. And when you own it in language, you activate it in reality. Imagine a director shouting, "Cut!" That's a wrap, even though the scene hasn't been edited, polished, or released. Why does he speak that way? Because the essential work is done. The outcome is already known. It just needs to go through the process of unfolding. When you speak from the end, you're doing the same. You're saying, I already know how this ends. And by doing that, you change how everything else unfolds. People who talk from the middle spend their lives reinforcing their struggle. They say things like, I'm just waiting on a breakthrough, or I'm stuck in this situation, or I'm hoping for better. But the very act of saying these things tells the universe, keep me in this state. You are narrating your lack instead of authoring your abundance. Talking from the end requires faith, yes, but more than that, it requires bold imagination. You must be able to picture the outcome so clearly that your speech reflects it. Even if your bank account is empty, you speak like a wealthy soul. Even if your heart feels broken, you speak like one who is already restored. Even if your body feels weak, you speak with the strength of someone already healed. The moment you do this, everything begins to shift. Why? Because now you are no longer echoing the world. You are instructing it. So every time you speak, ask yourself, am I talking from the middle or from the end? And if it's not the end, don't speak it. If it doesn't carry the final vibration of fulfillment, don't release it. Use your words to close the gap, not widen it. Speak your conclusion, speak your success, speak your arrival, and watch how quickly the universe rushes to match the vision you boldly proclaim. Feel it as you say it. Emotion is the engine. There is a vital difference between saying the right words and feeling them as truth. You can repeat affirmations all day long. You can recite success mantras or prosperity declarations until your voice is hoarse. But if those words are empty, mechanical, or hollow, they are like arrows without a point. They do not pierce the deeper layers of reality. They don't move the universe. What gives your words weight, momentum, and spiritual charge is emotion. Emotion is the engine that drives your declarations. It's the hidden electricity behind every word that reaches the creative field. When you speak with conviction, when your chest vibrates with belief, when your spirit is stirred as you declare, this is already mine, That's when the universe leans in and begins to respond. You must understand that the spiritual realm is not moved by logic, it is moved by feeling. The universe doesn't evaluate your resume, your background, or your perceived worthiness. It responds to vibration, and the highest vibrations are not merely thoughts, but emotions deeply felt. When you feel abundance, as you say, I am wealthy, you pull wealth into your field. When you feel peace, as you say, I am safe, you summon divine protection. When you feel gratitude, as you say, it is already done, you create a frequency of completion, and life hurries to match it. This is why you must not merely speak the words, you must immerse yourself in them. Close your eyes, breathe into your chest, and feel what it would be like if the desire was already fulfilled. Not tomorrow, not years from now, now. What would your face look like if you knew you were chosen? What kind of breath would you take if you were already healed? How would your shoulders sit if you knew nothing could be denied you? Let that emotion rise. Let it flood you. Let it change the temperature of the room you're in. Because when your words and your emotions are in harmony, you become magnetic. And that magnetism pulls circumstances, people, opportunities, and outcomes into your life without force or manipulation. Most people speak their desires but feel their fears. They say, I believe this will happen, but inside they're trembling with doubt. That contradiction weakens the vibration. It sends mixed signals to the universe. It's like trying to drive forward with one foot on the brake. You cannot speak one thing and feel another and expect clarity in return. But when you align your speech and your feelings, when your I am is wrapped in unshakable joy, gratitude, or confidence, you become unstoppable. You bypass resistance. You override logic. You collapse timelines. You stop asking when and start living as if. So let your heart join your mouth. Let your emotion anchor your intention. Speak with the tears in your eyes if you have to. Speak with the fire in your belly if that's what it takes. But never speak passively again. Don't whisper your destiny. Roar it from your soul. That's how creation responds. That's how transformation begins, with words that are felt into being. Repetition without belief is noise, and noise never moves mountains. There are many who repeat affirmations, who chant success phrases over and over, but they do it with hesitation in their hearts. They repeat words out of routine, out of desperation, out of fear that maybe if they say it enough times, something might happen. But this is not how the universe is moved. It is not repetition alone that shifts your reality. It is the authority in your voice when you declare with conviction. Conviction doesn't mean volume, it means certainty. It means you're not speaking for validation or begging for results. You are speaking because you know. You are speaking as one who understands that creation has already begun, and your voice is simply echoing what your spirit already sees. When you declare with conviction, something changes in your posture. You no longer say, I hope I succeed, but success is mine. You no longer say, maybe I'll find love, but love surrounds me now. There is a divine tone that enters your speech, a kind of unwavering confidence that doesn't shout but shakes the atmosphere. It is the language of those who own their authority. And let me tell you something. The universe respects spiritual authority. It is drawn to bold voices, not reckless voices, not arrogant voices, but voices that have decided, voices that are no longer entertaining doubt, voices that don't need to look around for signs, because they have already created the sign within themselves. Your declarations should be filled with life, not desperation. They should be more than wishful thinking. They should carry weight. Imagine you are speaking into a court and your words are binding law. That's how seriously you must speak. Because spiritually, that's exactly what's happening. When you say, I am worthy, heaven and earth begin aligning to reflect that truth. When you say, I am rising, decline must step aside. When you say, this belongs to me, Anything that tried to delay you loses its grip. But here's the thing, you can't borrow someone else's conviction. You have to build it. And the way you build it is through consistency, through alignment, through remembering that you have been given power, creative, divine, spiritual power, to shape your world with your words. That is not poetry, that is reality. So stop repeating things you don't believe. Stop saying affirmations like you're checking boxes. Instead, pause, breathe, connect, and then declare, with your chest lifted, with your eyes fixed on the unseen, with your whole being behind your words. Say it like it's already yours. Say it like heaven heard you the first time. Say it like the shift has already happened. Because once your conviction catches up with your speech, nothing can stop the manifestation. One of the greatest enemies of manifestation is the obsession with how. How will the money come? How will the opportunity arrive? How will the healing happen? How will the right person enter my life? This question, how, is the very thing that pulls most people away from their power. Because how is the language of the mind, but creation begins in the spirit. The moment you begin analyzing the process, you weaken your command. You stop being the speaker of truth and start becoming the skeptic of your own vision. Let this truth sink deep into your soul. It is not your job to figure out the mechanics of your miracle. Your only role is to assume the end result as already finished, to live in the it is done and let the universe take care of the choreography. When you begin talking as if it's already yours, you are stepping into a state of faith that has no room for doubt, confusion, or overthinking. You are saying, I don't need to see the bridge. I just know I've already arrived. The need to know how is rooted in fear. It's a subtle way of saying, I'm not sure this is possible unless I can trace every step. But you must remember, the unseen world is not limited by logic. What looks impossible to you is a mere shift of energy to the divine. When you let go of the how, you allow greater forces to do what your mind could never plan. Think of the oak tree. The seed never asks, how will I break through the soil? How will sunlight reach me? How will I become mighty? It simply carries the code within. Your spoken word is your spiritual seed. And once you plant it, your job is not to dig it up in worry, but to water it with belief. When you speak from the end, you must divorce yourself from the process. Don't watch the clock. Don't stalk the outcome. Don't measure progress by the visible. Instead, train your focus on one thing only. It is done. Not it will be, not I hope it happens. Simply, it is done. Speak it with calm. Speak it with authority. Speak it like someone who has already walked into the future and returned to testify. This is how faith works. You do not get to choose the how, but you absolutely command the what. And when your what is clear, when your declaration is firm, the universe will move in ways that confuse the intellect but fulfill the desire. People will call it coincidence. You will know it was confirmation. So, stop interrupting your miracles with mental calculations. Stop delaying your blessing by arguing with reality. Speak your desire and seal it in the vibration of done. Let go of control. Let go of needing evidence. Let go of the craving to see before you believe. Instead, stand in the authority of your spoken word. Speak your truth as if it already surrounds you. Walk as if you've already received. Smile as if your harvest is blooming in the unseen. The universe is not asking you to figure it out. It is asking you to believe it's already figured out. Most people speak about their problems. They describe them, analyze them, complain about them, and recite them like scripts. They say, I'm broke. I'm tired of struggling. This pain won't go away. No one supports me. What they don't realize is that by narrating their circumstances, they are reinforcing them. They are giving them power. They are reactivating the very reality they want to escape from. But the bold believer does not speak about the mountain, they speak to it. They do not bow down to the storm, they command it. This is the fundamental difference between those who manifest change and those who remain stuck. One continues to repeat what is, the other speaks what will be, as if it already is. To speak to a circumstance means you recognize that your words carry authority over the temporary, that the condition is not final unless you say it is, and that you are not here to agree with your limitations. You are here to reprogram them. If you feel stuck, don't say, "I'm stuck." Speak to the feeling and say, "You have no place here. I am moving forward now." If your finances feel tight, don't describe the lack, declare to it, "Abundance flows through me freely. I am open to wealth from all directions." If your heart is breaking, don't tell people how broken you are. Look your pain in the eye and say, "Even this is turning into beauty." Why does this matter? Because what you speak to, you influence, and what you continually speak about, you submit to. The universe cannot move beyond the language you use to describe your life. If you keep declaring defeat, you will live in defeat. If you keep narrating chaos, chaos will stay. But the moment you open your mouth and declare order, declare joy, declare breakthrough, declare peace, you begin to command the unseen forces that shape your world. You must learn to speak with precision and authority, not as a victim, but as a vessel of divine power. You don't need to wait until the evidence shows up. Speak to the debt like it's already erased. Speak to the illness like healing is already flowing. Speak to the silence like your breakthrough is already roaring behind it. This is not delusion, it is dominion. And if it feels strange at first, good. That means you're breaking old agreements. Agreements with fear, with lack, with limitation. Let those contracts expire and write new ones with your words. Words like, "I am not beneath this, I rise above it. This obstacle is temporary, I am eternal. This situation bends to my fate, not the other way around." As you begin to live this way, to speak this way, you'll find that your outer life becomes a mirror of your inner voice. Things will begin to shift, not because you changed everything externally, but because you changed your relationship to what is. So stop reciting the pain, start rewriting the script. Talk to your life like it listens, because it does. Your mouth is not just for communication, it is for creation. With every word you speak, you set a magnetic field around your life. It is invisible, but it is real. Like a magnet draws iron filings from the air, your words draw situations, opportunities, people, and outcomes from the unseen into the seen. And just like a magnet doesn't chase what it attracts, you don't have to run after what you're aligned with. You only need to speak it into being. But here's the part most people ignore. Your magnet can pull blessings or burdens, depending on where it's aimed. If your mouth constantly repeats words of worry, shame, regret, and limitation, you're aiming your magnet at scarcity. If your mouth pours out gratitude, power, wholeness, and expectation, you aim your magnet at abundance. The mouth is one of the most underestimated spiritual tools you possess. You can fast, meditate, visualize, and plan, but if your words contradict your desire, you cancel the power. Your words must match the frequency of the future you want to live in. Otherwise, you are double-minded, creating and destroying at the same time. You see, life is voice-activated. The door doesn't open until it hears your declaration. The shift doesn't come until it is summoned by your belief. The universe doesn't move when you whisper confusion. It moves when you speak with clarity, intention, and certainty. So every morning, ask yourself, what am I magnetizing today with my speech? Are you repeating yesterday's failures? Or are you declaring tomorrow's favor? Are you saying what the world expects you to say, or what your future requires you to say? There is no neutral speech. Every sentence you utter is either building your destiny or eroding it. So let your tongue become a tool of design. Craft your world with precision. Say only what you want to live. Bless your life with the sound of your own voice. If someone speaks against you, let them, but don't join them. Speak higher, speak louder in spirit. Speak your truth until the world cannot ignore it. Use your mouth as a weapon of light. And remember, you don't need many words. You just need aligned words. Clean, clear, unwavering words. Words that say, it is done, it is mine, I am already there. Speak them and watch the world bend to your boldness. Now, listen to me and listen deeply. You are not waiting on the universe is waiting on you, not on your struggle, not on your tears, not on your prayers that are laced with fear. It is waiting for you to stand up and speak like it's already yours. That house you see, speak it. That healing you dream of, speak it. That relationship that values your soul, speak it. That business, that breakthrough, that version of yourself that walks in power and peace, speak it. You don't need a sign to start. Your words are the sign. Because the moment you speak with conviction, the universe begins moving with instruction. It doesn't need reminders. It doesn't require explanations. It needs a bold command from a bold believer who knows who they are and what belongs to them. This is your invitation to rise, to stop narrating the life you want and to start declaring it as if it is already unfolding beneath your feet. To stop asking softly and to begin talking like an owner, like an heir, like a soul that understands. I am the word before the world. I am the voice that commands the vision. I am the authority my future has been waiting for. So speak, not timidly, not cautiously. Speak as one who has arrived. Talk like the wealth is already yours. Talk like the doors are already open. Talk like your name is already known in rooms you've never stepped into. Talk like you are already healed, already seen, already free. Because the universe doesn't follow the fearful. It obeys the bold. So lift your voice and say it again. It's already mine. And don't just say it. Live like it. Walk like it. Breathe like it. And watch the universe rearrange itself to prove you right. You are not required to wait until the world recognizes your wealth. You are not bound to wait until the numbers in your bank account reach a certain value. You are not even required to chase riches down the dark corridors of effort and exhaustion. You are simply invited to become, in imagination, the very embodiment of a millionaire. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Everything in your world, every circumstance, every condition, every visible trace of success or lack, flows not from what you do, but from what you are. And what you are is rooted in what you assume yourself to be. The secret is not action, it is assumption. The moment you dare to assume that you are a millionaire, the world has no choice but to align with that inner reality. The outer world is but a mirror, and it reflects not what is real by the standards of men, but what is accepted as real within the theater of your mind. Ask yourself, what would a millionaire feel? What thoughts would live in their mind? What weight would their body carry? And what ease would surround their heart? Would they worry about bills? Would they panic in silence each time they check their phone for a balance notification? Or would they live in a state of calm expectancy, knowing that their desires are fulfilled before they even appear? You cannot mimic the outer life of a millionaire with labor alone. You must first create the inner life of one through consciousness. You may say, but I don't see it yet. That is precisely the point. To see with the eyes of the flesh is to be deceived by appearances. You are not called to walk by sight, but by vision. And vision is not what the eye sees, but what the soul declares to be true. Do not mistake delay for denial. Just because you do not see money flowing does not mean it is not on its way. You are the cause. The world is the echo. Act as if you are already the thing you wish to become, and the world will be compelled to respond in kind. Think not of riches as something distant. Stop placing them on a pedestal far above your reach. The more you chase, the more you affirm that you are separate from it. But the moment you say, I have it, you collapse that distance. You pull the future into the now. And now is the only moment where creation begins. Not in the future, not in the past, but in this living breath here, where you dare to assume what your senses deny. When you walk into a room, do not walk as one who hopes to become wealthy. Walk as one who is wealthy, though unseen by others. Speak as though abundance flows through your words. Sit as if the chair beneath you belongs in a mansion. Wear your current clothes as though they were stitched in the halls of luxury, not because you are pretending, but because you are rehearsing the truth that has not yet been made visible. This is not delusion, it is creation. This is not fantasy, it is faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, not the wish, not the dream, but the substance. You do not hope for what you already own. So when you act as if you are a millionaire, you declare in faith that it is already yours. And faith is the only currency that the universe honors without question. When you embody this truth, the world bends. People show up. Opportunities open. Circumstances shift, but only because you shifted first. This is not about arrogance. This is not about impressing others. This is about aligning your spirit with the vibration of wealth. You cannot hold poverty in your soul and expect fortune in your hand. You cannot think poor and feel rich. The two do not harmonize. Change must begin where no one sees, in the quiet chambers of your own consciousness. So begin now, close your eyes and feel the texture of wealth in your heart. Not greed, not excess, but freedom. Feel the lightness of knowing that you are provided for. Imagine the smile of knowing your needs are already met. Imagine the joy of giving without fear, receiving without guilt, and living without constraint. And then act, not by effort, but by embodiment. Let the version of you that is already a millionaire speak louder than the one that still doubts. Let that version become so vivid, so real, so felt, that the world cannot help but take notice and say, there walks one who is already what they desire to be. You are not the sum of what you possess. You are the expression of what you assume. To begin manifesting wealth, you must start by casting off the old identity, the one that says, I am lacking, I am struggling, or I hope to become rich someday. Those thoughts, while common, are the very chains that bind you to a life of limitation. The only freedom you will ever know begins within, not by changing the world around you, but by changing how you see yourself within it. When you assume the identity of a millionaire in your imagination, you are not playing a game of wishful thinking. You are establishing the foundation upon which all physical manifestations must be built. There is no need to wait for the outer world to confirm your wealth. If you wait for the outer, you delay the transformation. But if you close your eyes and assume that you are already a millionaire, not tomorrow, not next year, but now, then you begin to live from a place of divine authority. This is not about pretending. Pretending is hollow and weak. based in doubt and the fear of being found out. But assuming is different. To assume is to declare silently to yourself and to the universe, "This is who I am, and I will not be moved." It is a quiet power, a settled truth that doesn't beg, chase, or grasp. It rests. It knows. What is a millionaire but someone who lives in the freedom of provision, in the awareness that life supports them? That person walks differently, they speak differently, they look at opportunities through a different lens. When you assume that role within yourself, the world begins to take the shape of that assumption. Circumstances, people, ideas, and events align with the image you hold in your imagination. The outer world is not creating you, it is responding to you. But you must be the initiator, the one who dares to begin inwardly. Start now, right where you are, regardless of what your bank account shows or what your circumstances whisper. Begin to speak to yourself as one who already is, not as someone trying to become. Speak to yourself with authority. I am wealthy, I am a millionaire, I live with ease, I give with freedom, I receive without guilt. And then begin to notice how your body shifts, how your breath deepens, how your worries begin to fade. Because the assumption of wealth isn't just an idea, it's a state of being. And you have full permission to dwell in it. You may say, "But I have bills to pay. I don't have enough. I can't just assume I'm rich when I'm clearly not." And to that the answer is clear. As long as you affirm the lack, you continue to live in it. Your present conditions are not permanent, but they are loyal to your present self-concept. When you rise above them, mentally and emotionally, you create the conditions for a new reality to form. You are not locked into your past. You are not stuck. The only real prison is the belief that what you see is all there is. The truth is that your imagination holds the key to every door you wish to open. But you must walk through those doors first in consciousness. To assume the identity of a millionaire means you begin to see yourself differently. You visualize the life you would live, the peace you would feel, the confidence that would radiate from you. You imagine waking up in a state of calm certainty. You imagine making decisions from a place of power, not pressure. You begin to trust that everything you need is already lining up for you. And in doing so, you're not hoping, you're creating, you're giving form to the invisible. You're laying the track for the train of reality to follow. This is not about faking it. You're not lying to yourself, you're stepping into truth, the truth that the outer world is clay in your hands, and the hands that mold it are your beliefs. You must stop waiting for evidence. Waiting is another form of disbelief. The one who waits says, "It's not here yet, so I must continue to want it." But the one who assumes says, "It is already mine," and lives accordingly. That difference is everything. When you assume the identity of a millionaire, you stop worrying about how. You no longer ask, "Where will it come from?" That question belongs to the old version of you. The new version knows that wealth is not something to pursue, but something to allow. And you allow it by accepting it now in consciousness. Let that be your dominant feeling, that you already are, that it already is, that life has already responded. The world around you may not change overnight, but your inner state will. And once your inner state changes, the world will follow, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. You do not need to strive, you need to become. You do not need to run toward wealth, you need to welcome it as already present. Let the old stories dissolve, stories of hardship, fear, and struggle. Let them go, not because you are in denial, but because they no longer belong to the person you now are. You are no longer the person who lacks, you are the one who has. You are not the one who dreams of wealth as if it's far away. You are the one who lives it now in every thought, every breath, every quiet moment of knowing. When you begin here with the assumption that you already are, you are standing on the only ground that matters. You are standing in truth, and truth will always manifest itself if you allow it to. So assume it fully, embrace it completely. Let go of the need to explain it to anyone. Let go of the need for confirmation. Just live in it, dwell in it, be it, and watch the world rise to meet you. If you were truly a millionaire, not in appearance, but in essence, how would you feel? Would you wake up each morning with a heavy heart, worried about bills, fearful of outcomes, or uncertain about tomorrow? Or would you rise with a deep, settled peace in your chest, knowing that everything is taken care of before it even arises? You see, it's not just about money. It's about the state of being that wealth brings. The outer circumstances may remain for a time, but if you feel rich inwardly, you are already touching the substance of that reality, and the world must conform in due time. What most people miss is this. Money is not what creates peace. Peace is what attracts money. Freedom, confidence, ease. These are not consequences of wealth, they are conditions of wealth. The person who possesses money only outwardly but lacks the inner structure of wealth will always live in fear of losing it. But the one who feels wealth deep within, who carries the emotional and mental state of abundance, will manifest it again and again because they have become one with it. The outer will always follow the inner. There is no exception to this. The feeling is the secret, not the thought, not the strategy, not the plan, the feeling. Because feeling is the language of the subconscious mind, and it is your subconscious that builds the world around you. When you saturate your inner atmosphere with the feeling of already being wealthy, already being free, already being secure and powerful and blessed, you're sending a message to the universe, not with words, but with vibration. And that message does not go unanswered. It is received, mirrored, and returned. You do not have to understand how it works. You only have to trust that it does. When you feel like a millionaire, you walk differently. You speak with more intention. You are less reactive to noise, more focused, more selective, more graceful. You no longer try to impress. You no longer seek validation. You no longer compare. Because when you feel wealthy, you know that you are enough. Not because the world agrees with you, but because the truth is rooted within you. Start now. Ask yourself, if I had all the money I could ever want, what would I feel like right now? Then sit with that feeling. Don't rush past it. Don't treat it like a fantasy. Treat it like a seed. Plant it deeply in the soil of your being. Let it grow. Nurture it with repetition. Return to it throughout the day. Allow your body to relax into it. Allow your breath to lengthen. Let go of the tension, the worry, the striving, because millionaires do not chase, they attract. They do not panic, they position. And that positioning happens first through the atmosphere of feeling. You must allow yourself to live emotionally as if it is already true, not someday, not when you figure it out, not when the job comes or the opportunity presents itself. Now, because now is the only creative moment there is. Everything you feel now writes the blueprint for your next experience. That is the law. It doesn't care about your history. It doesn't care about your current balance sheet. It responds only to what you feel to be true now, not what you wish, not what you want, but what you feel to be true. This is why people who have nothing still manage to rise, and people who have everything still manage to fall, because it is not about the visible, it's about the invisible forces shaping the visible. And you, through feeling, are the architect of those forces. You can construct a life of poverty in your emotions, even if you win the lottery. And you can build a life of wealth in your emotions, even if you are sleeping on the floor. The world only mirrors back what you've accepted in feeling. Feeling rich is not about convincing yourself. It is about relaxing into the truth that you are supported, provided for, chosen. Let the feeling wash over you as though it were already done. Let yourself smile for no reason. Let yourself feel the thrill of financial peace. Let yourself taste the satisfaction of buying what you love without guilt. Let yourself hear the sound of your inner voice saying, I am free. That voice is more powerful than 1,000 strategies because it carries belief, and belief is the currency of creation. When you walk into a room, carry yourself as if nothing is missing. When you make a decision, make it from abundance, not fear. When you speak, let your words carry the vibration of someone who knows that life is on their side. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. You are aligning your inner state with the truth that abundance is not a privilege for the few, but a law for all who dare to claim it. But you must claim it in feeling before it ever shows up in form. If you want to change your life, don't start with your environment. Start with your emotional atmosphere. Begin to cultivate the feeling of wealth daily, like tending a sacred fire. Keep it alive, no matter what winds blow around you. You are not defined by what others see. You are defined by what you feel when you close your eyes and listen to the rhythm of your own heart. If that rhythm beats with peace, joy, and knowing, then life has already answered you. You do not need proof to feel. You do not need evidence to believe. The feeling is its own proof. And when you persist in it long enough, the world has no choice but to reflect it. That is the law, that is the key, that is the invitation. Feel it first, live it within, carry it silently, let it become your natural state, and everything you seek will come. Not because you ran after it, but because you became the one to whom it must belong. To live from the end is to make a bold declaration to the universe. This is already mine. It is not a question, nor a hope, nor a plan. It is a state, a way of being, a level of awareness that does not look for confirmation, but acts from conviction. To live from the end is to inhabit the outcome before it appears. It is to take residence in the invisible and call it your reality. And when you do that, you enter the sacred realm where all true creation takes place. Not in the world of facts, but in the world of faith. Many people try to work their way into wealth. They try to earn it, force it, chase it. And while effort has its place, it is not the master key. The truth is that no amount of effort can produce what you consistently refuse to accept inwardly. You can hustle all day long, but if you still believe you're unworthy, still feel poor in your heart, still act like someone waiting for validation, then you are only reinforcing the state of not having. And what you reinforce, you repeat. Living from the end requires a different kind of intelligence, a spiritual intelligence. It is a quiet rebellion against the lie that says you have to wait. You do not wait to be rich, you assume it. You do not wait to be chosen, you walk as if chosen. You do not wait to be free, you move as if freedom is already flowing through every cell of your being. This is not delusion. It is the highest form of faith. And faith is the only true creative force in this world. When you live from the end, you don't ask, will this happen? You say, it already has. Your tone changes. Your body language shifts. Your decisions reflect your destiny, not your doubts. You begin to think like the version of you who has already arrived. You ask different questions. You spend your energy differently. You no longer react to circumstances. You interpret them through the lens of your assumption. And in that shift, everything begins to obey the vibration of your new identity. There is a power in acting as though the thing you desire has already occurred. It may seem simple, even foolish to some, but it is the very essence of creation. Because every time you act as if it is done, you are reprogramming your inner world. You are teaching your subconscious that this is your truth, and your subconscious, that silent, obedient servant, will begin to move all things necessary to match your internal picture. It doesn't argue, It doesn't question, it accepts whatever you give it, especially when that message is infused with feeling and repetition. To live from the end, you must stop looking for signs and start becoming the sign. You are not here to beg for evidence, you are here to embody the evidence. If you were truly a millionaire today, how would you carry yourself? Would you be checking your account in panic? Would you be consumed with thoughts of lack? Or would you be calm, generous, confident, detached from petty worries? That version of you exists already, not out there, but in the deeper reality of consciousness. Call it forward, become it, let it speak through you, let it live through you. Most people live from the middle. They are always in between. Not fully in lack, but not fully in abundance either. They tiptoe toward their dreams, but never fully leap. Living from the end is the leap. It is not waiting for the bridge to appear before stepping forward. It is stepping forward and letting the bridge appear beneath your feet. It is saying yes to the future before the world gives you permission. It is trusting the unseen more than the visible. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this practice. That which appears simple often carries the deepest power. You don't need to change the whole world. You need only change your dwelling place. And your dwelling place is your state of consciousness. Where do you live? In hope or in fulfillment? In seeking or in being? The one who lives from the end has already arrived, and the world must treat them accordingly, not because they deserve it more, but because they dare to feel it more vividly than anyone else. This is the posture of power, to assume the end and refuse to be moved by the temporary, to walk in fulfillment while others still walk in confusion, to be the calm in a storm of doubt. And this calm is not passive, it is creative. It is the stillness that commands reality to reshape itself. There is nothing more magnetic than a soul that knows it already possesses what others are still trying to find. You do not need to explain this to others. You do not need their approval. This is your inner work, your silent discipline. The world will notice soon enough. They will ask, what changed? And you will know. It wasn't a lucky break or a perfect plan or a sudden opportunity. It was that you stopped waiting. You stopped asking. You stopped delaying your power. You stepped into the end and lived from it without apology. You became what you used to chase, and life could do nothing but respond. When you live from the end, your present moment becomes sacred. You stop treating now as a stepping stone and begin treating it as the fulfillment itself. You don't say, someday I'll be free. You say, I am free. You don't wait to feel good. You feel good now because that's who you are. This moment is no longer a path to somewhere else. It is the destination. And in that realization, time collapses, delays dissolve, and manifestation becomes inevitable. This is the truth so many overlook. You are not here to get. You are here to be. You are not here to wait. You are here to create. You are not here to hope. You are here to assume. An assumption, when sustained with feeling and repetition, is the seed that breaks through any soil, no matter how barren it once appeared. You do not need to fight the old. You simply need to dwell in the new, until the new becomes your only reality. Let others chase, let others doubt, let others hesitate. You, live from the end, be it now, and let the world catch up. The senses will always present a case against the unseen. They are trained to confirm only what is already manifested, only what is tangible, measurable, and concrete. But the moment you rely solely on them to determine what is real, you become a prisoner of appearances. You become bound to the conditions that surround you and limit yourself to the evidence of what has already been created. And yet, your power does not lie in reacting to what is, but in creating what will be. That creation does not come from what you see, it comes from what you believe, in the silence of your own mind. If you can ignore what the senses report and stay faithful to your inner assumption, You begin to use your imagination the way it was intended, not to observe, but to command. There is a temptation to look around and say nothing is changing. There is a strong pull to measure progress by what appears in the bank account, by what responses come from the world, by the flow of opportunities or lack thereof. But those are echoes, not causes. They are shadows, not sources. The source of your reality is invisible. It lives in your inner conversations, in your feelings, in the quiet assumptions you make throughout the day without speaking them aloud. These are the places where creation begins. And to protect those places, you must develop the discipline to ignore what the senses say when they contradict your inner vision. When you assume you are wealthy, yet your surroundings suggest struggle, the mind cries out for evidence. It wants confirmation. It wants proof. It wants to see something before it believes it. But that very demand is the reason why most never see change. They allow what is visible to dictate what is possible, and by doing so, they stay locked in the same cycle of repetition. The only way to break out is to declare, "This is already mine," and refuse to be moved by what contradicts it. You must become so inwardly anchored in your assumption that nothing in the outer world can sway your confidence. This is not stubbornness, it is spiritual mastery. To ignore the evidence of the senses is to claim authority over them. It is to say, "You may report lack, but I do not accept it as my truth. I live in abundance now." It is not denial, but redefinition. You are not closing your eyes to reality. You are opening your spirit to a greater reality, one that is not yet visible, but is no less real. The senses will always show the past, but your imagination holds the future. When you dwell in imagination, you are stepping into what is becoming. And if you can remain faithful there, the outer must eventually follow. The world is not your guide, it is your mirror. When you smile at a mirror, the reflection smiles back. When you frown, it frowns. It cannot act independently. It only shows you what you are being. So why then would you wait for the mirror to smile before you do? Why would you wait for wealth to appear before you feel wealthy? That is not the way creation works. You must smile first. You must believe first. You must feel it first, even if every sense screams otherwise. And then, in time, the reflection must adjust. People often say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But those who create extraordinary lives say the opposite. "I will see it because I believe it." Belief comes first. And belief is not a passive wish. It is a fiery, persistent knowing that what you hold within is more real than what surrounds you. That knowing is what bends circumstances. It moves people. It opens doors. But it only comes alive when you choose to see with the eye of faith instead of the eye of doubt. Doubt is fed by the senses. It listens to the numbers, the rejections, the delays, the opinions of others. Faith, however, listens to the deeper truth, the one that speaks in quiet conviction and says, "This is already done." You must listen to that voice, even when the world says you are foolish. You must remain loyal to your inner world even when the outer world mocks your silence. Because what is seen was not made from what is seen. It was made from the unseen. That is the law. Every time you look at your current reality and decide it has the final word, you rob yourself of creative power. You silence the very force that is trying to lift you. But if you can look at your bank account, your situation, your limitations, and still say, "This changes nothing. I know who I am," then you are stepping into the realm where miracles are born. You are no longer a reactor. You are a creator. And the moment you make that shift, life begins to obey your faith rather than your fear. This discipline of ignoring the senses is not something you master overnight. It is a practice, a decision you make again and again. When doubt rises, you replace it with the image of fulfillment. When fear whispers, you drown it in the sound of inner certainty. When lack appears, You close your eyes and see abundance, not because you are blind, but because you see further. You are choosing to live in the root, not the fruit. And by doing so, you are claiming authorship over your life. Train your mind to return again and again to what you desire, not to what you lack. When a negative thought surfaces, do not fight it, replace it. When the senses show delay, do not interpret it as denial. When circumstances seem stuck, remind yourself they are only a reflection of yesterday's thoughts, and today's new assumption will write a different tomorrow. This is the patience of creation, the persistence of faith, the quiet resolve that does not ask for signs, but becomes the sign. You do not need to explain this to others. You do not need their agreement. Most will never understand the power of one who lives by imagination. But you are not here to be understood. You are here to be transformed. You are here to prove within yourself that the unseen is more potent than the visible, and that what you assume, if held in faith, becomes what you see. The senses may argue, but they do not decide. You decide. You imagine, you feel, and through that unseen work, the world is remade. Faith is not something fragile that needs constant reassurance from the outer world. Faith is not waiting for confirmation or seeking validation from what the senses report. Faith is a quiet authority that walks as if the outcome is already certain. It is not loud, but it is unwavering. It does not need applause. It does not panic. It does not ask when. Faith lives in the completed vision. It rests in the assumption that what is true within will one day appear without. And so, when you hold your millionaire identity in faith, even when nothing around you reflects it, you are not deceiving yourself. You are aligning yourself with the deeper order of creation. To let faith be your reality is to surrender the constant need for outer signs. It is to cease the habit of measuring progress by appearances. The mind wants evidence, the numbers, the messages, the opportunities to feel safe. But the Spirit already knows. The Spirit sees beyond time and beyond limitation. And when you live by that knowing, you are no longer tossed around by the ever-changing conditions of the world. You become the stillness in the storm, the calm in the chaos. You become the eye of the hurricane, centered, unbothered, unshaken, because within you know it is done. People often mistake faith for hope, but they are not the same. Hope longs, hope waits, hope wishes, but faith assumes. Faith claims. Faith walks in the result before it ever arrives. Hope asks for permission. Faith moves as if the permission was already granted, and it is this kind of faith, bold, silent, assured, that transforms the unseen into the seen. You don't need to convince anyone of your belief. You don't need to explain why you act the way you do. You simply need to persist in it long enough for the world to catch up. Letting faith be your reality means understanding that everything you want is already here, not in the physical, but in the spiritual. And the spiritual precedes the physical. That which is seen is only a reflection of that which is unseen. So when you say, "I am a millionaire," and the world laughs, do not flinch. When the circumstances mock you, do not retreat. You are not here to be confirmed by what exists. You are here to create what will exist. That is your task, that is your calling, that is your power. You must be willing to dwell in the silence between your assumption and its manifestation. That silence is sacred. That waiting period is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is where the roots grow deep. It is where your belief is refined and purified. The longer you remain in faith without evidence, the stronger your manifestation becomes. Because you are no longer driven by fear. You are no longer living from reaction. You are living from vision, from truth, from the end. This is why the world cannot understand the one who walks by faith. They look at the lack and say, "How can you feel rich?" They see the obstacles and say, "Why aren't you worried?" But you're no longer interpreting reality through the eyes of the senses. You are interpreting it through the lens of your inner knowing. And that knowing says, "I am already there. I already have it. It is done." And because you do not waver, because you do not doubt, the world must eventually obey. When you walk in faith, you are not controlled by time. You do not say, "It's been a week," or "It's been a year." Time is irrelevant to creation. All that matters is the depth of your conviction. One moment of absolute faith can collapse the timeline of 1,000 doubts, because when you believe without flinching, when you stand firm in the unseen, the world begins to rearrange itself to match your inner world, not out of chance, but by law. Let faith shape your language. Let it inform your posture. Let it guide your decisions. Speak as someone who knows the future has already unfolded in their favor. Carry yourself as someone who has already received the reward. Do not ask, "Will this work?" Instead, declare, "This is already working." Do not say, "Maybe one day." Say, "This is my now." Because faith does not wait for the world to agree. It moves, it lives, it acts. And in acting, it brings forth the reality it holds. There will be moments of doubt, moments where the senses scream louder than your inner voice. But in those moments, return to the truth. The outer is just a reflection. If the mirror shows something you don't like, you don't try to change the mirror, you change the face that stands before it. And so it is with life. You do not manipulate the world, you reshape your assumptions. You deepen your feeling, you return to faith. You must train yourself to trust what you cannot see, more than what you can. This is not blind belief, this is spiritual clarity. You are not ignoring reality, you are declaring a higher reality. One that originates in the mind, incubates in the heart, and eventually manifests in form. And your job is to hold it, to protect it, to nurture it. Not just when it feels easy, but especially when it feels hard. That is the test of faith. To believe in the light even when surrounded by darkness. When you let faith become your atmosphere, your natural state, your resting place, you begin to carry a different energy. And that energy speaks louder than words. It calls forth people, resources, and situations that align with who you are now being. Not who you used to be, not who you're trying to become, but who you are. Because of what you have assumed to be true. Let your faith be so alive, so tangible, that you no longer need to force outcomes. Let it be so constant that even delay cannot shake it. Let it be so strong that even in silence, you feel the substance of what you've claimed. Because that feeling, that still, quiet confidence, is the seed of everything you will ever manifest. You don't need more effort. You need more inner alignment, more trust, more surrender to the truth that you are already what you desire to be. You are not reaching, you are revealing. You are not climbing toward a dream, you are awakening to it. And the only bridge between where you are and where you want to be is faith. Not a fleeting hope, but a living reality inside you. Let that faith be enough. Let it guide you. Let it build your world in silence. And watch with calm certainty as it unfolds before you. Act as if nothing can stop you. Not because you wish it to be so, but because in the unseen world where all things originate, nothing has ever stood in your way. The barriers you perceive, the resistance you feel, the doubts that creep into your mind, none of these hold power in the realm of imagination. For in that sacred space, where thought becomes substance, you are the author, the director, the builder of your reality. The moment you assume the posture of one who is unstoppable, the universe bends its laws to match your conviction. What does it mean to act as if nothing can stop you? It is not arrogance. It is not the loud boast of the insecure. It is the silent knowing that you are backed by something far greater than appearances. It is the calm certainty that the unseen hand moves in your favor when you align yourself with your ideal. It is the choice to walk through storms as if the sun shines upon your path, because in your inner world, it already does. Your outer world is but a mirror, an echo of your inner assumption. The man who walks with confidence is not reacting to external validation. He is expressing an inner decision. He has already claimed the end within. He knows the truth that the world responds not to need, not to effort, but to assumption. And so, he acts not as a beggar, but as a master. Not as one waiting for a sign, but as one who carries the sign within him. He does not ask for permission to succeed. He grants himself permission. To act as if nothing can stop you is to disregard the evidence of the senses. It is to close your eyes to what is and open them inward to what must become. If you look to circumstances to give you courage, you will wait forever. But if you clothe yourself in the feeling of victory now, even while the world remains unchanged, you will discover the secret that changes the world. You will walk differently, speak differently, think differently, and the world, being only your reflection, will have no choice but to change accordingly. You do not overcome obstacles by fighting them. You transcend them by imagining they are already gone. You do not conquer fear by resisting it. You conquer fear by assuming the state of fearlessness. You do not need the mountain to move before you believe. You believe, and then the mountain moves. Not because you are powerful by yourself, but because the power that made the stars responds to your inner claim. It is not the size of the mountain, but the certainty of your assumption that makes all the difference. The moment you say, I am, the universe listens. The moment you declare within, nothing can stop me, the forces of life arrange themselves to fulfill that truth. The key is not in effort, but in alignment, not in striving, but in assuming. When you act as if nothing can stop you, you are not pretending. You are revealing what is eternally true, that within you lives the very spark of creation itself, that your imagination is not fantasy, it is the divine instrument through which life is shaped. Let the world call it foolishness. Let them mock your confidence, doubt your vision, dismiss your dreams. None of that matters, for what you accept as true within must express itself without. The doubters are only reflecting your former doubts. But now you have stepped into a higher understanding. You know that to act as if you cannot be stopped is not to defy reality. It is to choose the only reality that matters, the one you dare to believe in. So do not wait. Do not delay your greatness until the world gives you permission. Give yourself that permission now. Move, speak, walk, and breathe as the one who already is, as the one for whom all things are possible, as the one who has remembered who they truly are. The only limit is the one you accept. And when you refuse to accept any limit, when you act with the full assurance that nothing can stop you, life must bow. Doors must open, circumstances must yield, because in the world of imagination, you are already there. Everything begins in the unseen. Before the shape of your world takes form, before events line up, before doors open or close, there is the assumption, the silent agreement within your own mind that says, this is who I am. That is the birthplace of all that follows. Most people chase change on the outside, trying to rearrange circumstances, manipulate outcomes, or convince others to cooperate with their desires. But they have forgotten the origin of all things. The seed is not planted in the world, it is planted in the mind. And the assumption is that seed, it is invisible, but it carries within it the entire future. There is no power more potent than assumption. What you assume to be true about yourself and your life is what you allow to manifest. Not because life is testing you or because you're being judged or rewarded, but because you are always expressing the contents of your inner world. You walk through life broadcasting your assumptions like a signal, and everything you encounter responds to it. The universe is not selective about what it delivers. It merely reflects what you believe most deeply. So if you assume you are destined to struggle, the world will offer you more struggle. If you assume you are unstoppable, the world will become a path with no barriers. What stops most people is not the situation, but the assumption they hold about the situation. They meet delay and assume it means denial. They meet rejection and assume it means unworthiness. They face a closed door and assume it means it was never meant for them. And so their assumptions close the gate before life ever has a chance to open it. But the one who understands the law of assumption knows differently. He does not argue with appearances. He does not take delay as final. He does not bow to the so-called facts. He returns within to that sacred center and changes the assumption. For he knows that when the assumption is changed, the world cannot remain the same. There is no need to force change or struggle with conditions when you have mastered the assumption. It is not about pretending that something is true. It is about claiming that it already is. You assume your role. You take on the state of being you desire as if you already possess it, and by doing so, you speak in the language the universe understands. You move past the language of effort and enter the frequency of being. You no longer say, I want or I hope. You say, I am. And that is the phrase that shifts worlds. You may think the facts of your life contradict the assumption, but that is only because you are looking with old eyes. You are looking at the harvest from yesterday's planting. But if you dare to look inward and plant a new assumption now, the world will begin to move in strange and wonderful ways to reflect it. People you've never met will begin to appear. Opportunities you never imagined will arise. Conditions will shift and rearrange. Not because you struggle with them, but because you dared to believe something new within yourself. The power does not lie in outer action, but in inner conviction. You can act in all the right ways, say all the right words, follow all the right steps. But if your inner assumption is fear or limitation, you will continue to reproduce the same pattern. But if you do nothing outwardly and yet carry within you the quiet knowing that you are unstoppable, that you are favored, that your path is clear, then life must answer that it has no choice, it is law. When you assume that you cannot be stopped, you take your attention away from the problem and fix it on the solution. You cease feeding the energy of defeat and begin nurturing the state of triumph. You stop asking, what if it doesn't work? And begin declaring, it is already done. You act from a place of completion, not waiting. This does not mean you ignore reality. It means you no longer accept it as final. You hold the truth of your assumption above the facts of the moment, knowing that the facts will bend to your belief in time. This is the great secret that so many overlook. The battle is not with people, with obstacles, with timing, or with destiny. The only battle is between belief and doubt, and your assumption is the sword that cuts through all illusion. Every moment you are given the choice, assume defeat or assume victory. Assume rejection or assume acceptance. Assume delay or assume divine timing. And whatever you choose to assume, that is what you will begin to magnetize into your life, not by force, but by law. Your assumption is a declaration to the universe. It is your blueprint, your command, your prayer. But unlike a wish or a hope, it is not timid, it does not ask, it states. And in doing so, it activates unseen forces that begin to shift the scenery of your life. Not because you begged for it, but because you embodied it. You became it in consciousness. And once you become it there, nothing in the outer world can resist it. To walk as if nothing can stop you, you must first assume that truth within. Not partially, not conditionally, but completely. You must see yourself as already arrived, feel yourself as already successful, Move as if the outcome is guaranteed. Think as if the path is laid out before you, even if your physical eyes cannot yet see it. Because in truth, it is already so. You do not need to make the path. Your assumption makes the path. Your only task is to stay faithful to it, even when appearances try to sway you, even when the old reality whispers doubt, even when others cannot see what you see. Your assumption is more powerful than the circumstance, because it is the cause of the circumstance. Hold it, nourish it, rehearse it in silence, feel it in your breath, walk in it, sleep in it, dream in it. For what you assume persistently and faithfully must become your experience. The outer world is always playing catch up to the inner world. It is never the other way around. Most people wait for signs, confirmations, and physical evidence before they dare to believe. They say, "Show me and then I'll feel it." But this is the very reason they stay stuck. The truth is reversed. The feeling must come first. It is not the evidence that gives rise to the feeling. It is the feeling that births the evidence. The one who learns to feel unstoppable before anything looks like progress is the one who eventually commands the kind of life others only dream about. When you feel as if you cannot be stopped, you are not responding to circumstances, you are creating them. The feeling is the blueprint. It is the invisible mold into which life pours its substance. And yet, this is where most fail. They demand proof before they allow themselves to feel the truth of who they are. But in the invisible world of imagination, feeling is the proof. It is the reality before the world catches up. And so, when you walk as if the road is already cleared, the road begins to clear, not by coincidence, but by law. This feeling of being unstoppable is not something you wait for. It is something you assume. You invite it in. You wear it like a second skin, even if your bank account is empty, even if your relationships are strained, even if your body is tired or your past is filled with setbacks. The moment you decide to feel unstoppable despite appearances, you plant a seed that the world must one day harvest, because nothing, absolutely nothing, can remain in your life if it no longer matches your internal state. So when you rise in feeling, your circumstances must eventually rise to meet you. Think of how most people live. They wait. They wait to feel secure until they have money. They wait to feel worthy until they are validated. They wait to feel confident until others approve. But the one who knows the creative power of imagination understands that this is all backwards. You feel rich now, not because of what you have, but because you understand that riches flow from that feeling. You feel loved now, not because someone is holding you, but because you know that love is not something to chase, but something to radiate. And you feel unstoppable now, not because the world has cleared your way, but because in your consciousness you have already walked beyond every obstacle. There is a secret known to those who live from the end rather than toward it. They understand that feelings are not accidents, they are decisions. You can choose to feel the way you want to feel, regardless of what the outside says. You do not need the world's permission to feel victorious. You do not need the scoreboard to declare you the winner before you celebrate. You can celebrate now. You can claim the victory now. You can breathe as the one who is already there. And when you do, the world cannot help but shift in your favor. To most, this sounds like delusion. To those who understand the laws of creation, it is the very foundation of reality. The man who feels unstoppable is not ignoring reality, he is transforming it. He is standing at the doorway between what is and what will be, and choosing to believe in what already exists in spirit. Because once something is felt in spirit, it is inevitable in form. There is no force in the universe strong enough to deny a feeling that is sustained with conviction. The world will bend, time will cooperate, resources will appear, people will be moved into position. but only when the feeling is assumed and held. When you step into the feeling of being unstoppable, something begins to shift deep within you. Your posture changes. Your tone of voice shifts. Your eyes begin to reflect a different kind of clarity. You no longer look for signs, you become the sign. You no longer chase the dream, you embody the dream. And from that place, everything that once felt far away begins to draw near. Not because of desperation, not because you hustled harder than others, but because you entered the state where success is natural, inevitable, and effortless. This is the power of the unseen. It is subtle, but it governs all. You must learn to trust it more than what your eyes can see. You must believe more in the feeling than in the fact, because facts change, but a sustained feeling, a persistent inner knowing, becomes the new set of facts. So train yourself not to look around you for reassurance. Reassure yourself from within. Speak to yourself not as the one becoming, but as the one who already is. Declare the end as if it has come. Walk as the one who has arrived. And above all, feel it as real now. Do not confuse this with arrogance or fantasy. This is alignment. This is faith. This is the sacred act of creation that has existed since the beginning of time. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every miracle began in someone's mind as a feeling before it ever became a fact. The world only sees the finished product, but the one who lives by this truth sees the unseen first. They feel it so deeply that the outer world becomes irrelevant. And this is why they cannot be stopped, because the world cannot stop what has already been claimed in spirit. So when you wake each day, before you check the news, before you check the balance, before you consult the opinions of others, go within, feel what you choose to be, and do not come out of that state until you are fully saturated with it. Let the feeling of being unstoppable soak into your bones. Let it shape your breath, your thoughts, your movements. Let it guide your words and choices, and the world will follow. It has no choice. The feeling is the cause, the evidence is the effect, always. The world does not respond to what you wish. It does not respond to what you hope. It does not respond to the words you speak when your heart is uncertain. It responds only to who you are being, deeply, quietly, persistently. The world is not listening to your lips. It is listening to your vibration, your assumption, your identity. And your identity is not what others call you, but what you call yourself in the secret chamber of your mind. There, beyond noise and display, lies the real creator of your life. And it is not what you want that it creates, it is what you are. When people say they want change, what they often mean is that they want the world to change around them while they remain the same inside. They want better circumstances, kinder people, easier outcomes, but they continue to hold the same self-concept, the same doubts, the same beliefs about who they are. And then they wonder why nothing changes. They live in a prison of their own making, not one built by walls or enemies, but by the reflection of their own inner assumption. The mirror of life does not lie, it does not decorate, it does not flatter, it reveals. You cannot trick the mirror, you cannot pretend one thing while feeling another and expect a different result. You may speak abundance with your mouth, but if you carry the feeling of lack, your reality will reflect that lack. You may act confident outwardly, but if your heart is trembling with insecurity, your experiences will draw to you situations that confirm those insecurities. It is not the performance that life responds to. It is the essence, and essence is felt, not faked. This is why you must become what you seek. Not someday, not when circumstances approve, but now, in this very moment. If you desire to be respected, carry the assumption that you are already deeply respected. Not because others say so, but because it is your truth. If you long to be loved, live from the feeling that you are already saturated in love. Not because someone is holding your hand, but because you are holding your own self in the awareness of worthiness. If you want success, embody the certainty that you are already walking in it, not because the bank account agrees yet, but because your soul does. This world is a mirror, and mirrors do not change until the face looking into them does. If you frown at the mirror, it does not smile back. If you scowl, it does not soften. The mirror only reflects, and so does life. You cannot wait for life to change its expression toward you. You must change your expression toward life. You must look into the unseen world with the face of your desired self and allow that image to imprint itself upon everything you touch. Only then will the mirror shift. Only then will the people, the events, the circumstances bend to match the inner image. The power to change anything lies in the decision to become someone else internally, not by force but by assumption, not by wishing but by being. The identity you live from is constantly calling forth the conditions of your life. If you are experiencing chaos, look not to the chaos itself, but to the identity that keeps inviting it. If you are facing rejection again and again, ask yourself not why the world is unfair, but what image of yourself you are still accepting as true. The world cannot deliver anything inconsistent with who you believe you are. There is a deeper law at play, the law that says your world cannot exceed your self-concept. If you believe you are powerless, you will continue to find situations that prove your powerlessness. If you believe you are unworthy, the most beautiful opportunities will slip through your fingers, not because they were not yours, but because you could not receive them with the hand of someone who believes. You may pray for blessings, but if you do not see yourself as the kind of person who is blessed, the prayer returns void, not by denial, but by disbelief. Change the world by changing yourself, not the surface self, not the costume you wear, not the words you practice, but the silent convictions you live by. These convictions are always being reflected back to you. They show up in the words people speak to you, the doors that open or close, the chances that seem to appear or disappear. But none of these outer effects are the origin. They are shadows. The substance is always within. And the beautiful truth is this: you are not required to fix the outer world. You are not responsible for controlling every detail. You do not need to manipulate people or chase outcomes. Your only task is to revise the inner image. If the world feels cold, bring warmth to your inner being. If the world feels unfair, bring justice to your inner thoughts. If the world feels impossible, awaken the possibility within yourself, and you will find that life begins to mirror the changes quietly, softly, but unmistakably. The world is reflecting not your desires, but your self-concept. If you want to change what the world is showing you, change what you are showing yourself. You must begin to see yourself differently, speak to yourself differently. Assume the posture, the tone, the presence of the one you wish to be. And not as an act, not as a temporary mask, but as a true identity. Live from it, think from it, rest in it, trust in it, and the mirror will not resist. It will only reflect. You are never waiting on the world. You are only ever waiting on yourself. The moment you step into a new assumption of self, the world starts to rearrange. Maybe not instantly, maybe not obviously, but certainly. The reflection is faithful. It may take time for the ripples to become waves, but they will. Every quiet assumption sends out a signal, and that signal is received by the universe with absolute clarity. It does not respond to your effort, it responds to your essence. And when your essence shifts, everything must follow, because the mirror does not choose, it only reflects. Most people live their lives waiting for someone else to tell them who they are. They wait for validation, for approval, for applause, for confirmation that they are good enough, capable enough, worthy enough. They stand in front of the world asking silently, do you see me? Do you approve of me? Am I allowed to rise? But those who create extraordinary change do not ask for permission. They do not wait for the world to confirm their worth. They move from an inner place of knowing. They walk as if the question has already been answered, and it has, not by others but by themselves. When you rely on outer validation to define your identity, you become a slave to the ever-changing opinions of the crowd. One moment they lift you up, the next they tear you down. One day you're admired, the next day you're ignored. The voices outside of you are unstable, emotional, unpredictable, and driven by their own inner worlds. So when you tie your sense of power to them, you hand over your control. And what's worse, you disconnect from the one place where real change happens, within. To move from inner conviction is to shift the center of power back where it belongs. You stop reacting to circumstances and start generating them. You stop looking to the world to define what's possible and start defining it yourself. You no longer wait to feel confident until someone applauds your work. You decide that confidence is yours because you say so. You don't need to be told you're valuable. You feel your own worth without needing to be reminded. You act with the full force of someone who has already been approved in the only place that matters, your own consciousness. This inner conviction is the foundation for true transformation. When you believe in your worth from the inside out, you carry a different energy. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to make announcements about what you're going to do. You simply do it, because it is already done in your imagination. There is no waiting, no doubting, no stalling. There is only motion. Motion from belief, not from fear. The person who walks with inner conviction is not loud, but they are powerful. You can feel it in their presence. There is a calm certainty about them. They don't beg for opportunities, they create them. They don't hope to be chosen, they choose themselves. They don't ask, am I enough? They decide, I am. And in that decision, the world begins to rearrange itself to accommodate the new reality. People are drawn to them without knowing why. Situations open up in strange and beautiful ways, not because of manipulation or chance, but because inner conviction is magnetic. It attracts what matches it. Everything begins with the way you see yourself. Not what you say you are, but what you deeply feel you are. You could tell the world you are unstoppable, but if inside you still question your power, your reality will reflect your doubt, not your words. That's why inner conviction is not built on affirmations alone. It's built on assumption. You don't repeat empty words hoping they become true. You embody them as if they already are. You feel them until they become your dominant vibration, and then the outer world has no choice but to respond accordingly. Many seek strategies, techniques, and formulas for success, yet overlook the most critical element, state of being. Who are you being when no one is watching? What are you assuming to be true when the spotlight is off? That is what determines everything. If your outer life is filled with chaos, confusion, and constant effort, it's not because you're doing it wrong on the outside, it's because the inner conviction hasn't been fully claimed yet. You are still waiting to feel ready, still hoping for reassurance, still looking outside for signs that it's safe to move. But the truth is, the sign you are looking for is your own decision. You become unstoppable the moment you stop asking and start declaring. When you say, I am, with full belief, not to convince others, but because you know it deeply, your energy shifts. And that shift becomes the blueprint. The world begins to echo back your declaration. Doors open, people respond, events align, not because you chased them, but because they recognized your signal. You were no longer broadcasting confusion or desperation. You are radiating clarity. That clarity doesn't come from the world. It comes from choosing again and again to believe in yourself before anyone else does. People may doubt you. They may question your motives. misunderstand your actions, or even reject your progress. That's fine. Their disbelief is not your problem to solve. Your task is not to change their minds. It's to stand so firmly in your own that their opinions cannot sway you. Let them talk, let them speculate, let them misunderstand. As long as you are grounded in your inner truth, their noise cannot reach you. You are not here to live by committee. You are here to fulfill the vision planted within you, and only you can see it clearly enough to follow. To move from inner conviction is to become immune to temporary defeats. You no longer crumble when things don't go your way. You see setbacks as shadows, not substance. You recognize that your path is not dependent on smooth roads. It is dependent on your ability to hold your state no matter what. You say, "This is who I am," and you do not budge, even when the world tells you otherwise. You don't need the outcome to prove you're right. You trust that your being is enough, and it is. This is not about being rigid or blind to reality. It is about being loyal to your vision, even when reality tries to argue. You don't ignore facts, you override them, not by force, but by faith. Not by denial, but by deeper alignment. You don't run from opposition, you move through it like it was never there. Because when your actions are born from conviction, you don't need to be loud or aggressive. The stillness of your belief speaks louder than any words ever could. And so, the question is not whether the world believes in you. The question is, do you believe in yourself deeply enough to stop asking for permission? Can you walk forward without needing applause? Can you act as if you are already the version of you that nothing can stop? Can you decide that the only approval you need is your own? Because once you do, once you begin moving from that place, everything around you must rise to meet you, not because you demanded it, but because you became it. To become unstoppable, you must embody the end now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when others believe in you, now. Because the end is not something you chase, it is something you inhabit. Most people wait for results before they decide how to feel, how to think, how to act. They move through life reacting to what is, rather than creating from what is within. But the secret is this. The state of being you desire is not waiting for permission to arrive. It is already present, already real, already available. The question is not whether it exists. The question is whether you are willing to dwell in it before the world confirms it. You cannot expect the world to show you a reflection of something you have not yet embodied. The outer is always the effect, the mirror, the echo. It is not the master, it is the servant. Your inner world is the cause. What you feel, believe, and persist in internally must become your outer experience. And when you embody the end, when you live, think, speak, and breathe as though your desire is already fulfilled, you collapse the illusion of time. You move past delay, doubt, and hesitation and enter the dimension where your word is law and your vision is reality. This embodiment is not about pretending. It is not about lying to yourself or putting on a mask. It is about aligning with your true self, the self that already knows what it means to succeed, to thrive, to love, to create. That self exists beyond fear. That self does not wait for the stars to align because it understands it is the one who aligns the stars. That self carries no doubt because it is rooted in truth. And truth does not need validation, it simply is. When you embody the end, you do not merely visualize your desire, you feel it, own it, and act from it. You step into the role of the person who already has it. You ask yourself, how would I walk if this were already done? How would I speak, breathe, sit, wake up in the morning if I knew with absolute certainty that I am now living the life I imagined? And then you begin to do those things, not as a performance, but as a declaration. Every moment becomes a confirmation, not a question. Every breath becomes a signal to the universe. This is who I am now. Now, most people are caught in the loop of waiting. They think, once I have the money, I'll feel secure. Once I'm in the relationship, I'll feel loved. Once I succeed, I'll feel worthy. But that is a loop with no exit, because it places the effect before the cause. The feeling you believe you'll experience at the end must be claimed at the beginning. You must feel secure before the money arrives. You must feel loved before the relationship appears. You must feel worthy before the achievement manifests. Not because you're trying to earn it, but because feeling it now is the only way to experience it then. This is why desire is not a call to chase, but a call to become. Your desire is not asking you to go and find something. It is asking you to align with the version of yourself who already holds it. It is an invitation, not to struggle, not to reach, but to transform, to step into the higher state where your vision already exists in full bloom. The moment you accept that invitation, the world begins to bend around your new self. Not because the world has changed, but because your perception has. You are no longer seeing lack. You are seeing fulfillment. You are no longer vibrating from absence. You are vibrating from presence. The one who embodies the end walks differently. There is no desperation in their step, no anxiety in their tone, no questioning in their gaze. They are not asking life for permission. They are informing life of what already is. Their actions are not efforts to make something happen. Their actions are the natural expression of who they have already become. There is no contradiction between what they say and what they feel, between what they believe and what they express. They are unified, whole, coherent, and the universe responds to coherence. The question is not whether you are worthy of your desire. The question is whether you are willing to take ownership of it before the world gives it to you. Are you willing to feel rich when your account is low? Are you willing to feel healed when symptoms are present? Are you willing to feel chosen when no one is calling? Because that willingness, that faith, is the bridge. It is the portal through which your new reality enters. And if you cannot feel it now, when it is invisible, you will not be able to hold it later, when it arrives. This is the nature of spiritual law. What you assume to be true within yourself becomes your experience. An assumption is not a vague hope. It is a deep, unshakable embodiment. It says, this is already mine. I do not need to prove it. I do not need to earn it. I only need to live it here and now. And the more you persist in this inner state, the more natural it becomes. You stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop wondering, you rest in the knowing. You move through your day with quiet authority, because you are no longer trying to create your desire, you are sustaining it in consciousness. There is no moment more powerful than now. Now is where your power lives, not in the memory of the past, not in the projection of the future, but in the decision you make in this very breath to embody the end, to live as the version of you who no longer doubts, no longer waits, no longer pleads. And if you will be faithful to that state, the outer world must conform. It cannot resist, because the law is absolute. What you are within, you become without. So choose now to walk in it, speak from it, think through it. Let it saturate your being until it becomes more real to you than anything you see. And in time, what you see will rise to match what you feel.